Hello, everyone, and welcome to Snap Take. This is Glazer of Snap Judgments. Today, we are going to talk about our initial impressions of the new card Zorn. But before we get there, we got to talk about the 34 card Monty. This deck is absolutely crushing right now. It seems like the stupidest pile in the world, but this deck has so much powerful stuff, extra energy, and draw that it wins games of Marvel Snap. And it's too cool for us to not talk about, so let's talk about it. This is the Heart of the Card Snap version. You can find Heart of the Card streaming at that exact name on twitch.tv. And the original idea for this was Stefan. So Stefan created an original version, Heart of the Cards updated with some different changes, and here we are. This deck needs Arishem, Thanos, and Galacta. Iron Patriot Valentina can be Cable and Quinjet. It can be Quable and Cabe Jet. Sure. Man Thing can be the biggest fort you've got. You don't really super want to run um crossbones here, but like a decent size 4 is your general goal here. Legion, Infinity Ultra, and Agamotto. We're looking at Claw and Vision, which means you're going to need one. Agamotto is the most important of those three, in my opinion, because that extra energy, that extra little bit of disruption is very powerful here, as is the Images of Icon spell. Mockingbird can be She-Hulk. Gore can be Red Hulk or Magneto, and Alioth can be Shang-Chi. Alright, so let's go card by card and explain what this deck is trying to do. Iron Patriot and Valentina give you powerful cards on the cheap. Valentina, in particular, on turn 3, her card can be played. That's the same turn most opponents will be able to play Mobius unless something silly happens, which means you can get that Valentina card out, giving you a 6-drop on turn 3 before your opponent can stop you. Iron Patriot is, of course, stopped by Mobius, but the card gives you more variety and more potential power because it gets a bigger discount. Iron Patriot is easy to win largely because you can go from 2 to 4 while your opponent is stuck going from 2 to 3. Galacta is one of the biggest power spikes in the game. Galacta on turn 3 is one of the biggest power spikes in the game. You get that just sort of for running Arishem, and thus you should run it. Man Thing is here largely because, well, this deck is running very expensive. We're only running Iron Patriot Valentina as cheap things. Of course, Arishem can give you plenty of cheap things. Thanos gives you the stones, which are cheap. But Man Thing is still, generally speaking, at least a 411, often a 413. That's just absolutely humongous for a card of this type, and you should, generally speaking, consider running it. Try and keep a lane relatively clear so that when you play it, you have some optionality. Legion goes in these decks because Legion on 4 is a ridiculously good scam card. Cards like the Kiln are just auto won by Legion, and then you can just auto win the game. If you snap before it, you just get extra cubes and free wins. 2 cubes per game is absolutely great, and you're happy to do so with Legion. Infinity Ultron is a card you really want to ramp into. Playing Infinity Ultron on 5 feels bad. Playing Infinity Ultron on 4 is actually pretty damn good. So you play Infinity Ultron on 4. In worst case, you played 8 power on turn 4, but you are reasonably likely to get some use out of at least one of his stones. Agamotto is another card. Just playing a 10 on turn 4 is great. There aren't that many 5/10s in Marvel Snap, so Agamotto has that going for him. But the other thing that Agamotto really does like is this deck absolutely loves the Bolts of Buffak spell. Getting that extra energy is good. The spell that draws Agamotto is usually a little rough because you're reasonably likely to draw Agamotto. In this deck, you are far less likely to do that. Winds of Tomb doesn't have any particular synergy, but it's pretty good. And then Images of Icon to turn a bunch of random stuff that you got, like your Infinity Stones, into a bigger card is also very strong. In a heavy Thanos meta, Gore is the biggest thing. Thanos plays a bunch of stones that are on reveals and a bunch of more on reveals, and then you drop Gore, and you just go way over the top of basically anything. Alioth is your no thank you, stop now card. Very important because fairly often you're going to play a heavy power card on turn 4 or 5, which means Alioth can protect it, winning you the game. Mockingbird is a very cheap 9. Unless your opponent in particular is running Mobius, you get a very cheap 9 power card. We're talking a 2 or 3 cost for 9, which is way ahead of curve. Thanos gives you the stones, which gives you draw, which lets you see a reasonable amount of your monstrous deck, and lets you actually have the ability to run something this big. Also, Thanos starts in hand, so at worst, you get a 6/12 on turn 5, which is obviously great, but if you get the Time Stone, you get that as a on turn 4, which is absolutely insane, and you can even still get the Soul Stone and protect him. And then, of course, Arishem gives you the energy for any of this to actually work. Playing ahead of curve is all this deck is really about, and thus Arishem is important here. This one is kind of a monstrosity, but it is an absolutely killer deck. With this list, Heart of the Cards has gone 18-8. That's a 69% win rate. And if you're wondering where, Heart of the Cards right now is the rank 5 player on the Infinite leaderboard. Turn 1 for this list, you just want to play draw cards. Turn 2, you'll play Valentina or Iron Patriot. If you hit the right card with either of those, feel free to snap over a draw. Turn 3, Galacta. Galacta on turn 3 is a snap over Man-Thing. And from here on, you Mockingbird when you can. Turn 4, Infinity Ultron is better than Legion. If you get a amazing Legion scam, do that first. But Infinity Ultron generally better than Legion, and you will happily pay Thanos if you got time and soul. Turn 5 and 6 are the same idea. You're playing some combination of Thanos, Gore, and Alioth in order to win and close out the game. The 34 card Monty, friends. This one is a absolute monstrosity, one of the better decks right now around, which is utterly absurd, but it just puts out a ton of power. If you're looking for something really, really fun on ladder that can win you a ton of games, play this. We're going to get to Zorn momentarily, but before we get there, please hit that sub button, like, and comment as we bring you a brand new video every single day. Tomorrow, we will have 2 videos, a morning video where we break down Zorn in great detail, and then an afternoon video, where we break down a bunch of different Zorn decks in great detail, then an afternoon video, which will cover the OTA. We cover Marvel Snap more thoroughly than anyone. If you want exclusive decks that you can't get anywhere else before anyone else gives them to you, hit that sub, like, and comment. We're also giving away our last Esme Cuckoo this week. All you have to do is sub, like, and comment. Your comment will enter you to win Esme Cuckoo. I'll tell you what comment to leave later this video. All right, so Zorn is a 2/3. After any 3 or 4 cross card is played here, move it to another location. I don't think this card is good, like at all. I think it goes in a couple of good decks because those decks are already good. The decks that are running Zorn are decks that are perfectly fine without Zorn as of right now, and I cannot imagine any of these decks actually needing him. That's fundamentally where I landed this card. He feels to me sort of like not even a worse Man of Web, sort of like a worse Cloak. But that said, because there's so many powerful move synergies, in particular with the card Red Wing, because there's so many powerful move synergies as well when you're playing cards like Hydra Stomper and Kraven, he ends up being a decent card in those decks just because those decks have such a high baseline power. I do not think Zorn is good. I honestly think he's going to age and eventually be the worst card of the season, but for the time being, he's at least reasonably fun, if occasionally intensely frustrating. The deck we're going to talk about today, you're probably going to see on some other YouTube channels, I'm going to be honest. This is Toxic Soul King's Thursday version of Thursday's deck. Dear viewers, this should look very familiar. This deck is exactly 2 cards different from a deck we've featured for about 3 or 4 seasons in a row, that we featured 3 or 4 times here on the channel. I had my highest win rate in 2 different seasons with this very deck with 2 different cards. It doesn't actually need Zorn. It doesn't actually need Surge. This list, however, does put up crazy points. This is my personal favorite Red Wing deck. It's the oldest deck I still have built in Marvel Snap right now. I haven't even updated. Like, I have this version, right? And I still have the original version. It's the oldest deck for the last, 3 or 4 seasons, since basically, the week after Red Wing came out for this list. However, this list absolutely cracks. It is insanely strong once you learn what you're doing with it. It can be hard to use. It can take some practice, but once you get the hang of it, you put up just crazy power in really, really unpredictable ways, which means you win a lot of extra cubes. You can find Toxic Soul King, who created this version. He made the 2-card change. If you're interested in watching Toxic Soul King play it, I believe this ended up in the hands of Dexter and several other top players. I know I saw Tucker playing it. I know I saw Game of Flash X playing it. So this deck is making the rounds right now. It's going to be around. You should definitely know it. Again, I think this list is absolutely a killer. You don't need to buy Zorn for it, so please don't. If you're looking for the original creator of this list, it's Thursday Snap on Blue Sky. You can go check them out. This deck needs both Madam Web and Red Wing. Those 2 are your non-negotiables. Aranya can be Iron Fist. This is a fairly major loss for the list. Aranya as a set it and forget it card that can work later is very important. Aranya can be, Red Hulk can be Magneto. Red Hulk is often fairly huge here. Changing it for Magneto is also a loss. I've seen people cutting Giganto and running Emperor Hulkling. That this isn't the list for that. That's not right for this list. You can't afford for that to be a destroyer. You immediately lose that game. So you can't do that for this list. Keep it as Giganto. Zorn and Surge can be Kraven and Cloak. That was the original cards. I don't think this is better without Kraven, straight up. I think Kraven, Kraven with Cloak is very often like a 2/11, is an incredibly, incredibly powerful card for this list. I understand why Zorn and Surge are here, and the list worked. We'll take a look at my stats soon, but I'm not sure it's better this way. If you don't have Zorn, if you don't want to go get it, go get Kraven and Cloak. You'll be totally fine. And lastly, Makari can be Wasp. We'll talk about why when we talk about what Makari does in this list. So you have what amounts to 4 move cards and 2 cards you want to move in this list. You have Aranya, Ghost Spider, Zorn, and Madam Web as your move cards. You want to move Vulture and Red Wing. Red Wing can be moved fundamentally at any portion of the game. As long as you have two big cards in hand and one not big card in the hand, I will almost always take that Red Wing chance to get Red Hulk, Gigantor, and Infinite out. I think it is fundamentally always worth it there. Sometimes you're going to miss, you're just going to run those games. But when you hit, it is absolutely worth it. What Zorn offers that Cloak doesn't is a non-Ghost Spider way to just drop Red Wing and immediately get the benefit, which is reasonably nice, even if it does come with a risk of a clog that you don't want. Because Red Wing wants to only move once, you often end up with a very big, we're talking like 21 power Vulture. That's because if you get like you just play Vulture on Zorn, you can then drop the Madam Web. Sorry, you can Ghost Spider it over and then drop Madam Web there, and then you've got like these two extra moves on that Vulture, and now he's just a lane-winning absolute monster. That covers the entire first portion of the deck. Surge's general role here is look, you're not sad to get extra power on anything, right? But what Surge really wants to do is make Giganto or Red Hulk a 5. That's like why I even like remotely accept in this list. Also, if sometimes once in a while you get lucky and you get a 4 Infinite because of I don't remember what it's called, Titan something. The -1 cost to 6 costs, and then if you hit that with Surge, feel free to skip turn 3 and just drop the freaking Infinite on turn 4. Snap that unless you're sure they have a Shang. But even then, like, there's often too much to Shang for this list. So yeah, feel free to do that. But Surge is trying to get you Red Hulk or Giganto on turn 5 because sometimes you won't have very much to do on turn 5. Sometimes your turn 5s get clunky, and just dropping a damn 6-drop is pretty solid. Makari is here because you want the extra hand space. Having 4 power for extra hand space is pretty good. You want to be able to discard what you want with Red Wing. You want to be able to discard what you want with Dracula, and Makari getting out of hand will give you 4 power in the process is pretty good. Once in a while, she too will mess you up, but hey, such is life. Red Wing we talked about, you move Red Wing, you get Red Hulk, Gigantor, Infinite. It's suddenly a ton of power. Plus Red Wing at 5 isn't so bad. Dracula is again supposed to hit largely Infinite. Let's be totally honest here, largely Infinite, but it's pretty good. Sometimes you're going to be doing like, look, here's a Zorn into Vulture, then you'll drop a Dracula, then you can drop like a Madam Web and a Red Wing on the final turn, and you're good to go. There's a lot of stuff like that to do with this list. Red Hulk, Giganto, and Infinite are keyword big. I don't know what else to add. They're just big ass cards. So okay. I went 14-7 with this on stream. The stream's VOD is right here on YouTube and on Twitch if you're interested. That's a 67% win rate. And again, I've played this list many, many times. It is my long-term highest win rate deck in Marvel Snap. Turn 1, you want Aranya. Turn 2, Madam Web if Vulture is better than Surge is better than Zorn. Although you can go Zorn into Vulture and then do like a Madam Web Ghost Spider thing next turn as you so choose. Or sorry, turn 4 as you so choose. Vulture if move, Red Wing to set up move if you have odds to play. If you've got all your big cards and you've got Red Wing, go for it. Turn 4, Dracula or a 3-drop plus Ghost Spider. That's generally when you're looking to snap. A lot of people are going to snap your Madam Web. Red Guardian your Madam Web. You're totally fine with that. Dracula is more important. Turn 5, Zorn and Red Wing, or drop cards on Madam Web, and sometimes you're going to drop a 6 for 5. At this point, you should have a reasonable amount of how much power you're going to end up with, and you should be able to relatively often snap. Turn 6 is just drop a 6, or you can move Red Wing and empty your hand, so Dracula is guaranteed to hit Infinite. At that point, you're usually fairly likely to win. This list occasionally is going to lose to variance, right? Red Wing's going to grab the wrong thing, Dracula's going to grab the wrong thing, Zorn is going to throw things in the wrong place. That kind of thing does happen with this list, but when it works, it just puts up as much power as nearly anything, and it's very, very hard to stop. You run, I think, 1, 2 ongoing cards in this list, so cards like Gore and such just don't beat you. Like, I beat a Mr. Negative on pure points with this list, and I almost beat another Mr. Negative that did went negative Jane on me in another game. So, like, this list is just pure points. It's incredibly strong, and it's definitely worth playing. Again, don't feel like you need Zorn for it, though. Next up, you can find me streaming today at about 3:15 Eastern at twitch.tv/PulseGlazer. Please swing by. It would mean the world if you stop by to hang out. All right, our season pass question is very simply, what are your impressions of Zorn? Have you played him? Have you seen him? What do you think thus far? Am I wrong in my disdain for him? Tell me. All right. Next up, we've got Ika Xorn. I know you're shocked. It's an Ika list on day 1 of a new card. But Ika cooked, as usual, with the same win rate I had with that previous list in a slightly larger sample in a very cool list that also doesn't really need Zorn. Sorry. Did I not replace Zorn here? Zorn can be Silk or Hydra Stomper, and you will be totally freaking fine. You can also if you have Zorn and not Rock and Groot, you can also feel free to throw in Vulture. Just having that 1/3/9 is pretty damn solid. You can find Ika at twitch.tv/IkaMTS. This deck needs Alioth, Galacta, Batork, Sam, and Surge. Jeff can be Nightcrawler. Jeff can be Craven. Zorn can be Craven. Rocket and Groot can be Hydra Stomper. So, you don't have the. Oh, sorry, you have Craven. Excuse me. Batrock, Sam, and Craven are a little mini package. Basically, the idea is if you play Sam, you move that shield around, Batrock follows it, gets +2 power each time, plays for like a 1/12. Craven gets buffed as well when you move the shield on it, and if you move the shield and Batrock on it, that works well. In addition, Jeff, Zorn, and Rocket and Groot can move on Craven, force Batrock to move, get that extra power there. You're running 3/4s here, so Zabu and Surge are here as ways to get your 4s out early. Surge, just as consistent extra energy, is pretty damn solid here, but they're here to get your 4s out early. Galacta on 3 is insane. Storm on 3 as 3/5 is still pretty damn good, especially because you have moved in order to win that lane. Rock and Groot helps you control where your opponent plays. If you play Rock and Groot in one lane, you're pretty sure your opponent's not going to immediately play there. If you can do that and then you can storm that location, you should be able to force that location to be yours, especially because you can eventually move, for example, a Sam Shield there with a big old Batrock. Or you can let the card Captain Marvel just win that location for you. Captain Marvel coming out on turn 5 or 6 as a surprise, oh crap, I won that. Or even just cold dropping Jeff in a storm lane is pretty damn good. From there, we've got our friend Alioth, which just says, oh, my opponent thought they were going to do something to counter me. No, in fact, they are not. And thus, that is the list. Zorn is here literally just as an extra way to get a card into that storm lane and just an extra little bit of disruption. It's because it can affect where your opponents play cards, and because your cards can move around, you get some extra value here. It is, again, not terribly important, but hey, such is the list. With this list, Ika went 31 and 15, 67% win rate, plus 65 cubes, which is a very high cube rate. Turn 1 Zabu over Stomper. Turn 2 Surge over Sam over Craven equals Zeph equals Zorn. If you played Zabu, you generally want to play Surge. If you played Stomper, you generally want to play Stam. That's how it works. Turn 3 and 4, you're looking for a Galacta and Storm. Turn 3, you'll go Rock and Groot. Turn 4, you'll go 2/2 because you have a million twos. If you must, you'll Captain Marvel on turn 4 as well. Turn 5, 3/2, again, you have a million twos, or you can drop Captain Marvel. A Captain Marvel and a 1 is fine. Then turn 6, Alioth or Marvel and a 2-drop. Marvel and Jeff is a really good play here. And that's the list. It is very strong. Props to Ika for this really, really cool idea. Storm is not like back, and I'm not super comfortable playing this right now, but like because Zorn just came out and that could be really frustrating. But serious thought, that Ika is able to do so well with this list in a meta where Zorn just came out and a lot of people are playing Move is incredibly impressive and means that this deck actually has some legs to it. So if you're interested, go give it some play. Hey, my friend BitTwiddle makes all my overlays, all my thumbnails, and all that good stuff. If you're interested, please message BitTwiddle on the Gmail on the screen or on Twitter. And if you are trying to do any content creation, message BitTwiddle, look professional, and do your best work. Next up, we've got Haze Jeet Elixir. This list I played in the tournament, and I don't think it's a meta list now because Cosmo's all over the place. But when Cosmo's gone, this list puts up crazy, crazy power, and I think it's going to be incredibly cool, especially once Kid Omega comes out. When Kid Omega comes out, I think this list is going to be insanely good. You can find Jet at twitch.tv/Jet13. There are 5 E's there, and this one is from Haze, who made the alterations to the Jet list. This deck needs Cassandra Nova, Sage, Phoenix Force, Elixir, and Firehair. Nico can be Frigga. In fact, in Jet's original, there is a Frigga and a Nico. There is no White Tiger, though White Tiger was very good. And Surge can be Carnage. Okay. So the hood is here because you just get extra hoods with Misery. That's fundamentally the main use of it. It's not like the most amazing or complicated thing in the world. You play hood, you play Misery, you get extra stuff. You would generally rather not play hood with this list. It is not the key pattern, but it is powerful. Echo protects you from Cosmo. Cosmo stomps out this deck. If your opponent has a Cosmo, you sort of lose. That's the problem. Echo gives you a shot. Plus, Echo blindness is real. I definitely played a important card directly onto Echo and got it smashed in the tournament. Nico's most important spell here is Copy, because copying Cassandra Nova and Sage is very important. But using the Demon, there's a lot of important draws. So using Nico to draw 2 from the hood or turn it into a whatchamacallit. Draw 2 from the hood or turn it into a demon is pretty damn good. Elixir is a last turn play. We'll get there when we get the combo. Firehair is your preferred turn 2 play. You're happy to play Surge, but you'd rather play Firehair to get your combos going. The combo that you would like is you would like to go Cassandra Nova on 3 into Sage on 4 in a lane alone. So on turn 5, you want to eat that Cassandra Nova Sage land, ideally with Misery, but feel free to Venom it, especially if Firehair is out. Your turn 6 should be Elixir and Phoenix Force, and then you should win the frickin' game. Because you just got a triple or quadruple triggered Cassandra Nova and Sage, which are all absolutely huge and lane winning threats. That's the goal of this. You don't always see Cassandra Nova and Sage, thus White Tiger. Feel free to drop White Tiger on turn 5, and then if you destroy that on turn 6 with Venom, with Misery, whatever, you end up with an extra Tiger from the destruction from Firehair. And if you played Misery, uh, an extra Tiger that way as well. All that's really cool. You can play White Tiger on 5, and then you can still do Misery and another card on 6 and still have a lot of power. Especially if Surge made Cassandra Nova, Sage or Cassandra Nova a 2-cost card. This one is really, really cool. I'm telling you, Kid Omega is going to take this to another level. I'm excited to be able to like cut Echo and Hood and go further in on the destroy parts of this deck and like as a combo. And I think it has serious legs and serious power. Like Frigga, Kid Omega, and Kid Omega, I think, are really going to take this deck to another level. So turn 1, Hood over Echo. Turn 2, Firehair over Surge. Turn 3, Cassandra over Sage. Turn 4, you'll now play Sage on Cassandra, but the same basic concept. Turn 5, you want Venom or Misery on Cassandra and Sage, and that's better than White Tiger. Turn 6, Peef and Elixir, Phoenix Force and Elixir, or you can play that Misery on your White Tiger and try and get a bunch of Tigers all over the place. This list is really, really cool. You end up with a huge Firehair, a Firehair that is hitting both Sage and Cassandra Nova, and you end up with a Phoenix Force Cassandra Nova or Sage, and you end up with a doubled/triple triggered Phoenix Cassandra Nova or Sage from Elixir. Super cool combo list. Again, this is much more consistent than it looks, and it's much more powerful than it looks. If you're not seeing a lot of Cosmo, this one has a ton of combos that are ways to win games of Marvel Snap. Play it, live it, love it. That's it for today. Certain tiers of support on our Patreon come with on-air thanks. I gotta say thank you to first Bricks2Click, our patron of the month, Abigail Giesland, Mandatory Burnout, Irregardless, LAB, Inc., I Am Frostman, Hota Navanete, Thinking Poker, Primed Ryan, Ryan Burke, Ryan Wood, Ren Wrench, Caretixley, Corey, Kazushi, Archangel 3K, Black Dahlia, Perlfrost, The Goat Seeker, Code, Hallowed, Only Fox, Synth, Batnick, Absolute Shannon, Nightmare, Dirty Casual, Mr. Carfuffle, Cables, Ginger Prime, Philip Brakovich, Haplo, Kenny Loggins of The Danger Zone, The Bizza, Black Jeebus 23, Extra and Skippy G, Rhyming Friends, Jessica Gamble, Slush Death, thank you for the help today, Slush Death, The King of Bros, Brup, The Great Kazoo, Werewolf, Kevsey Hoda, Lunarchris, Glam, Colonel Forbin, Rob Silverman, M. Holland, David G. Wingfield, Steven, Brian Kaufman, Tristan H. Martin, Jason B., Mr. Craig Sterry, Matt B., Corey, Corwin, John Q., and Jim McHugh, Histouth, H. Stage, One Big Man, Milkman for Reals, Cactus, Jack, Reapster, BG, Quid Pro, Joe, Snap Decisions, Joe, Dick, Garlow, Models Mod Supreme, Bickety Boom Bot, Green Goblin, Unibot, Flan 56, The Fuzzy Lump, Spectrumix, Hoot, Ocularis, thank you both for the gifted, and congrats on the Pacers winning. Matt H, DJ Mikey Ijink, thank you for the gifted as well, my friend. No frickin' flex. Nick the Greek Geek, Toxic Soul King, Toxie, Sadrex, the King of Canada, Deadman Falcon, Father Newman, Jonesy, Two Ties, the Great Lord Evs, the Pirate King Tucker, and of course Gunny T, where the T stands for that was fun. I can't wait for this OTA because once that Thanos meta is gone, oh man, things are going to shake up real nice. We don't know if that's the OTA, but fingers crossed, friends. I'll see you tomorrow for another Snap Take. Thank you so much for watching. Appreciate all of you. Peace.